Yes. All Andreucci, the hardest. What's the hardest player? The hardest shot you, the hardest player, the best player. Probably more recently, rather than Cristiano Ronaldo. Do you know who he is? Is he the one that dies all the time? He's not here. I tell you what, he's done a few times against me. He's not healthy out as well. Yes, you're right. What team do I make the best side against, you say? I don't really know. I think I look at it a different way. I don't look at it necessarily as my best save. I look at it as the most important save. And I think for me, the most important saves in my career so far, hopefully, there might be more to come, is against Uruguay, or we're against Uruguay, or the qualifiers for the World Cup.
Montagnana-Wallace, welcome to Full On Football.
Thanks for having us. Yeah.
Look, can I just say, obviously we're here to launch your books. Your first one was launched earlier on this year, now this one, Meg's Scarves and Sombreros. Can I just say how fantastic these books are? Congratulations for what you've done with these books.
Thanks very much. Thank you.
Now, I was mentioning to you, I've worked in the education industry for 26 years, and these sort of books are the type of things that kids are up against every day of their school life. Things like making new friends, racism, bullying, adversities, working as a team and trying to get on with each other. How did you manage to come up with something like this, and where did you get your research from?
You should write the blurb.
Can't match pillows.
Yeah, can't match pillows.
No, so how did you get the idea of doing something like this?
Well, we've all been to school, we've all had these experiences. We talked about it. My wife's a teacher of this sort of age group. It just seemed there were issues there to discuss, and football's growing and seemed a good vehicle to use.
And Mark, how did you get involved in that?
Well, Neil approached me about 2.5 years ago with the idea of putting a children's book together, and I'd already been thinking about it anyway. And when he mentioned it to me, I said, actually, you know what, I've been thinking about it for ages, because I've got 2 young children, and at that particular time my son was about 4.5, 5 years old, and I was trying to find some books that were based on football, but more picture sort of based stories. And when Neil sort of came up with this idea, I said that'd be great. I'd love to be involved in that, but also I'd like to do a younger version in illustrations and as well as shorter stories. Yeah. So the idea is what we're going to do is, in the grand scheme of things, what we want to do is actually bring Meg's back down to a very basic level with a lot more illustrations and try and introduce the younger kids to the story as well early on.
I have to say they're very, very easy to read books, both of them, and they've got fantastic little stories within them and how these kids actually face up to their fears or face up to making new friends, like the young lad did when he first came over to Australia. Magnificent morals and magnificent stories within them.
I think we've all been through it, like Neil mentioned, we're all kids at one stage, and we all come from different ethnic backgrounds. We all loved football at a young age and still do today, but back then it was sort of perceived as a minority sport. So to actually talk about it and express our own issues that we had as kids in the story as well, it's been easy to write, and I think a lot of people have been able to associate with it and feel comfortable and say, yeah, actually I'm experiencing exactly that.
Most definitely. Now, one part, and the kids won't know this.
You're not going to cry, are you?
No.
I know the big thing. You're not going to cry.
No, the part that I really loved within this, and this was like boosting the kids' confidence, was the game that was the big game, and when they went into the change rooms and the coach had left them with the folders and positive comments.
Yes.
That's the sort of thing. I mean, I work with that all the time. Kids really respond to that, and that was magnificent how you were able to write that into the book as well.
I mean, these are pretty. They can be pretty heavy issues that we deal with in these books, particularly the second one. There's a few in there that, from an adult perspective, it's a bit heavy. But from a kid's perspective, it's not. And that's where we use football to tell these stories so easily, because the kids want to play football and they want to be with their friends and they want to have a lot of fun. They want the positive reinforcement and how they all band together to support one another. it's a lot of fun to write, to be honest, once we get into it.
And can I just say that including girls into the team, I've had my own experience with my daughter playing in boys football, the things that she's had to overcome, almost having to be better than the best player. It was brilliant that you were able to incorporate that, because that's what actually happens in the real world, doesn't it?
Oh, it's very important.
Definitely. I mean, football, from a girl's point of view, is growing faster and faster. I think it's one of the fastest growing sports on the planet, really. Women, girls getting involved in playing football. So it was only logical for us to actually incorporate that into the book as well, because we didn't want to just have a boys football book. We wanted to actually incorporate girls into it as well. And you'll find probably with the next cover, it'll incorporate a girl on the cover as well. So it won't be as perceived to be just for boys. It'll be shown that, hang on, there are girls in the book. There is another main character in the book who is actually a girl as well.
Mm-hmm. Now, as you saw here, all these kids, you're a hero to all these kids. I guess what they want to know, because we've got a lot of kids that watch the show, who was your hero? And I think we've got a common bond here.
Yes.
Because I really love Peter Schmeichel, one of my all-time greats, and I think you're
yeah, definitely.
the same.
I mean, he was definitely one of the players that I looked up to, and obviously had the fortunate opportunity to play against on many occasions as well. But probably when I was younger, the person I looked up to the most was Craig Johnston.
Really?
Because he was achieving what I wanted to achieve in life. He was playing in the English Premier League. He was playing in Europe, playing football at a professional level. I remember those days you used to watch Match of the Day on a Monday night, or you used to only get an opportunity to watch the FA Cup final every year. And I remember watching every one of the FA Cup finals every year after year. And in those days, in the mid-'80s and so forth, is the time when Liverpool dominated. And they were pretty much time after time in the FA Cup finals, and it was always great to watch. And he was the standout Australian.
Yeah, me too. And he did it his own way and quit when he wanted to quit, because he had to, and he's always on his own thing. He's always more than a footballer, as Mark is as well.
I guess you have to be fortunate to be able to do that, quit when you want to, and not have to quit.
Well, he had issues as to why he did, but he was at the top, and he decided to stop, and that was that. But someone who's outside of just playing football, like Mark is, it's refreshing.
Now, I've just got to ask you one more question. When we interviewed John Aloisi, we interviewed him about how he felt when he took that penalty, but we all forget that you actually got them to that stage. How did you feel at the time when you pulled off those two saves in that game, that magnificent game that changed the history of Australian football?
Well, the first one to me was like, it was just sheer elation, because it was their first penalty kick. So it was like, it was all of a sudden they were straight away deflated, because I'd saved their first one, and all of a sudden we were ahead. And the danger was missing, and then obviously our confidence all of a sudden dropping and them lifting. But when we did miss, it was sort of like, okay, right, I've got to save one again. And then fortunately enough, I was able to save the next one, and then I thought, hang on, this could be it. And I was actually very, very confident that Johnny was going to score. Because I know how well he takes penalties, and it was a great finish, and the rest is history, as they say.
Yeah.
He had his eyes closed the whole time.
Well, he did a good job with all of his parts of his body, can I just say that? Look, congratulations again, this is fantastic. I've got really excited reading them myself when the first one came out, and now this one. I cannot wait. I hope this is able to come into a movie.
What happens here, look. We haven't actually told many people about this, actually.
It falls into...
Just see that little thing in there? Yeah. See how that little squiggle is in there?
Right. What?
And it goes into 5 books.
Oh,
so you wonder what might that little squiggle be.
Okay,
that's
fantastic.
A little thing
That's
to keep your eye on.
Well, congratulations again. And as I said, I hope we see it as a movie, because I think it would be a great inspiration to young kids. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
And thank you very much for talking to Full On Football.
No problem.
Cheers.
Thank you.